Hello and welcome to the WugulOra morning ceremony, coming to you live from Sydney's Barangaroo Reserve, right here on beautiful Gadigal country. We acknowledge traditional custodians here and throughout Australia. We acknowledge their continuing connections to land, culture and community. And we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Yes, and we extend that respect to other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who join us today. It can be a difficult day for many of our brothers and sisters, and added to that, there is the wide felt grief associated with the devastating bushfire events which have left our country reeling. Many First Nations peoples have been affected by these tragic circumstances, with losses of homes, property and important parts of landscapes that were once always managed by traditional owners.
WugulOra means one mob in Gadigal, and the WugulOra morning ceremony was created to honour the survival of our people and their resilience. Today we extend that sentiment to all those who have been at the front line of the fires.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you, Luke. And overnight, hundreds of people walked from Sydney Town Hall down George Street, arriving here to take part in an overnight vigil, and they gathered around fire pits, enjoying stories and music. And Dan Sultan, he even serenaded everyone with his beautiful blues rock songs.
He certainly did. Dan the man was in the house. Now, everyone had the chance to reflect on what it was like the day before colonists came ashore in 1788 and changed everything forever. NIT broadcast the event live and captured the images you see now. And Carla, I reckon a few of the mob hung around this morning too as well.
Yeah, what an effort. And why wouldn't you want to camp out here as well? They've stuck around for good reason. We have a great combination of tradition and entertainment this morning, with performances from Isaiah Firebrace, who'll be singing his spirit song with members of the Kari Singers. And then later, the national anthem in Eora language. I really can't wait for that one.
Yeah, it should be good. Now, we'll kick off soon with a smoking ceremony. Of course, fire is part of Aboriginal culture going back millennia. A short while ago, the tribal warrior boat brought their ceremonial fire to Barangaroo Reserve. It was kept overnight at Meemau, also known as Goat Island, which is just over there in the distance. Here is Nathan Moran, CEO of Metro Local Aboriginal Land Council, to tell us about the significance of this island in the harbour.
Bajuri Gamarua, Meemau, simply translates to G'day for Meemal, or also known as Goat Island in the language of the Eora. Meemau is a great dreamtime or creation story for Sydney, or what we know as Eora. Burabira, being the creation story of the Eora, is quintessentially a story of a great eel coming from the oceans into the headlands and creating what we see now, the harbour, the surrounding waterways and estuaries. Burabira, the great eel, actually lays to rest where we stand right now. Meemau means the eye of the very eel that created the water space. So for the cultural kinship links to this island, it should be pointed out that it is in fact the grand centre of the respective Gal groups that we acknowledge as Gamarargal, Wongal and Gadigal. In the centre of those clans and estates is this harbour, and in the centre of the harbour is Meemau, and it also attributes to us to the cultural importance that this is a shared space, and it's very well recorded that all the various groups would use this island as the ultimate barbecue area or today's recreation space. But for us, this is the natural wonderland. This island represents what's known to be the first memories of the establishment of the country that we now enjoy. And for us, being in the centre of the harbour, we believe is a greater testament to its importance, its sacrosanct importance to us as peoples and as the first peoples of this area. A key component of the WugulOra morning ceremony is the lighting of the fire. It's more important to point out, but, that those flames and the embers are actually kept over on Meemau or Goat Island in the night prior. We use this as an opportunity to light a fire back in the most sacred cultural place of Sydney, the same place where fires were burning upon the arrival in 1788 of the colony. We use this as the way to link the past with the contemporary and the future, hopefully, on how this place can be maintained as the centre, if not the most sacred place of Sydney or Eora people.
Now, the flame from Meemau will be arriving very soon. Now, Carla, I don't think I've seen so many Aboriginal flags in the one place. I think there's over 250 flags right here at Barangaroo.
Yeah, gee, they look neat, don't they? And I mean, I think we can't really go back to one flagpole after experiencing this at official events.
100%.
Yeah, and they are part of a large-scale art installation at Barangaroo Reserve called Proclamation. While they're all Aboriginal flags now, prior to today, they were all different. So we spoke to the designer of the exhibit, Jacob Nash, to find out more.
Proclamation is about inviting members of the community, create a flag that talks about who they are and what this country is that they live in and how they want to see that represented. By making a flag, they get to make a proclamation by sticking it in the ground and having it raised above them about how they see their future and how they want to be recognised in this city and this nation. There's 250 flags in this installation, and that talks about the 250 years since Cook arrived on our shores just down the road in Botany Bay.
There it is. Nationhood is unity. It's the idea that it doesn't matter what the colour of your skin is, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your political ideas are, what your religious beliefs are. It's the idea that you can come to a nation and feel pride in it no matter what. I was confident I could create the design without making it too complex. I added in 3 colours. The blue represents the British Empire, the green represents the Torres Strait Islanders, and the yellow represents the Aboriginal people. Unity is one of Australia's strengths, and we should always be striving for that.
At the WugulOra ceremony, we're going to be surrounded by 250 Aboriginal flags, and I think that's the most important way to start the day on the 26th of January. Together, as we face many challenges in the world through climate change, First Nation knowledge is a really important source of, I guess, sharing and also acknowledging that, you know, our science is really important. It's been caring for this country for 65,000 years.
What a great project to get people thinking about today and what nationhood means to them. Now, I'm really pleased to be here with Casey Ralph, the CEO of the Kari Foundation. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Luke. So great to be here.
Now, can you tell all of our viewers what is the Kari Foundation?
So the Kari Foundation, ultimately, it's a charity, and we were established because we wanted to provide the opportunity for Aboriginal peoples and communities to be able to experience a number of different programs across a number of platforms with an underlying ethos that culture can drive change.
Now, I believe you have another section of it called the Kari Singers.
Yeah, we do.
Tell us about that.
So the Kari Singers are actually the face of our creative and performing arts division. So they're a great bunch of kids who have come through our vocal identification program, and they're all equally passionate about sharing culture through the performing arts.
Now, I've seen them perform before, and they're a really deadly mob. And they're going to be singing with Isaiah Firebrace today, which I'm sure they're very excited about.
Very.
Now, we caught up with Isaiah in his hometown of Moama in WugulOra country.
Hey, my name is Isaiah Firebrace, and I'm a proud WugulOra Gunditjamara. We are in Moama, which is in New South Wales. Border town to Echuca, which is on the other side, just over the Murray River. I am who I am today because of this town and the community and the people that I grew up around.
I give you my heart, I give you my soul.
Continues. Amazing.
I live for you.
I just did a tour around Australia called the Spirit and Beyond tour. The Beyond workshops were focused on Indigenous youth and working in Indigenous communities. It was me talking about my story, where I'm from, some of the lessons that I've had to learn, that, you know, you have to be resilient, you have to be proud of your differences. Your differences make you special. And it's important to have goals. It's important to picture yourself where you want to be, because it's something to work towards, and I am working towards that. It was awesome for me to see that different side of Australia and how important community is and how special it can be when people come together as one. It's a very small world because some of the Indigenous folk that I met actually like knew people that I knew from Victoria, and we crossed paths with each other before. So it was a really beautiful, beautiful time.
Let's try something.
So it goes. I'm Aboriginal, and I'm proud of being Aboriginal. A lot of people can regard the day as being Survival Day. Like, I still regard it as Survival Day, but all we need to do is come together as one Australia and to be forgiving and to show compassion for each other and consideration and be the Australia that we're supposed to be, you know? Now is a time more than ever for people to come together, because the only way you can move forward, like, is together.
Isaiah will be performing Spirit live for us here a little later with the Kari Singers. Now, Carla, this is such a wonderful spot to have this ceremony here this morning.
Yeah, and the thing I love about it is it's got a really good feeling when you think about the Aboriginal history of this place. So Barangaroo Reserve is named after the wife of Bennelong, and she was a strong and independent Camaragal woman. And while Bennelong eventually became quite chummy with the colonists, Barangaroo had other ideas, remaining fiercely proud of her spirituality and culture.
Well, the site looked very different back in the day, and one bloke who knows all about its cultural history is my good mate, Tim Gray.
Getting to tell Barangaroo's story is a privilege and an honour. We're showing our gratitude for the ancestors looking after this land for so many thousands of years. And I get that connection. Even though I live in the city, I live in Redfern, which is very close to the CBD, coming here reminds me of that connection to country that's been around for thousands of years. Before becoming a reserve, Barangaroo was a shipping container yard. It was a wharf for over 100 years. There was a lot of industrial factories. So it's gone through many changes over the last 150 or so years, and it was inaccessible to the public. So the unique thing about Barangaroo Reserve, the botany is all native species, over 75,000 plants, trees and shrubs, 84 species, endemic to the Sydney Basin region. One of the reasons why this tour was created was to showcase the native species and show how the Aboriginal people use them for food, shelter, medicine, making tools as well. So we have Lamandra, which is a spiky mat rush. There's 20,000 of these here, and there are many uses for this Lamandra, and just demonstrate how easy it is to weave. So you just tear it into strips like that, and then they'll soak it overnight in water, and then they'll put it out in the sun and let it dry up, and it will turn yellow, and then it'll be easier to weave with. You can also eat the white substance here as a little snack as you're walking through the bush. So the seeds of the Lamandra, they are nice and green now, but they will soon turn a browny orangey colour, similar to a popcorn kernel. And inside each of these seeds are two little grains which were collected and grounded up and made into flat bread. So this site already has become very significant for Aboriginal people. We have done traditional ceremony a few times on this reserve, and I think that has added the spiritual nature which connects beautifully to Aboriginal society and culture.
Yes, the Barangaroo Reserve is such a wonderful place to be today. And wherever you are in Australia, I hope you are safe and enjoying our coverage of the WugulOra morning ceremony, which is just moments away from kicking off. And one act that you'll see this morning is the Kamari and Budja Budja butterfly dances. We spoke to choreographer Rayma Johnson about the dance Yinyamara that she's devised for this morning.
Yinyamara is a Wiradjuri language name and it means respect. I guess it's more like the respect and to honour country is kind of where I'm going with it. I don't think we stop and check ourselves because we get so busy, especially in the city, like we get all caught up and wound up in the city, and we don't actually just take that time, because if we don't take care of country, then, I mean, the fires and the floods and the droughts, and I mean, look at the rivers, and the rivers are dry. So if we're not doing our bit to keep and maintain country, then, you know, there'll be nothing for us. So it's really important. So we've got 8 dancers, all female. We've got women and children. And each of us represent the elements: fire, earth, air and water. And there's a young woman, an Aboriginal woman, and she is there to kind of discover what it is that she's not connecting with. At first, she doesn't see the earth, fire, water, air spirits, but then eventually, you know, towards the end of the song, you can see her connection to them, and then she gets it. It doesn't matter what nationality we are. It's all about each of us, because we're all on the planet together, and it's about each of us doing our bit, our part, to take care of country, and then, you know, we'll have a beautiful country.
And we look forward to Yinyamara from Kamari later. Right now we're joined by Yvonne Weldon, the chairperson of the Metro Local Aboriginal Land Council. And Yvonne, I know that you've been involved with the WugulOra morning ceremony since its inception. What can you tell us about its beginnings and just how and why it was created?
It's been created from the New South Wales government, but particularly they wanted to ensure that Aboriginal people are involved with Australia Day. Particularly for me, it's Survival Day. And it's about us making sure that they represent all of this history, not just a part of it. So DPC have really worked closely with the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, and we've provided advice around who and how we should be involved. And so we, as soon as we finish this event, we start for next year's event. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. I mean, particularly quite a key part of that is actually looking at the significance of where ceremony takes place, and particularly this area is quite significant.
What can you tell us about the significance of this spot where we are today?
I mean, this is clearly named after a strong Camaragal woman, which is across the shores, but government chose to name it on Gadigal land. But certainly across to Mimal, which is also known as Goat Island, something that we've been trying to work towards to get handed back to Aboriginal people, particularly the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council. Mimal is significant for ceremony from women and with all children, and where you think of what took place on this day 232 years ago was that was the last ceremonial place that they would have seen change happen forever from this day forward.
And I know that one of the things that you wanted to see happen today is a smoking ceremony. What can you tell viewers about the importance of that, and what can it achieve today?
I think the smoking, so Metro has provided for a number of years a smoking on the eve. So on the eve as a day of mourning. We've provided that at the Elizabeth Street Hall, which is also known as the Australia Day Hall, but we call it the Day of Mourning Hall. We have done that for a number of years, commemorating the elders that took the stand in 1938. We have an event there today, which we do every year, with the past, those past leaders and their descendants, and we start the flame there. And what we do is we take the fire across to Mimal to stay overnight. We have a fire keeper. This year we have Darren Williams doing that, and we bring that fire. So we light that fire the night before, and we bring it here today to bring a cleansing to all of us, but also, you know, really about that acknowledgement, remembering and looking forward to what we can do rather than what we have done.
Yeah, look, I'm a long way from home. I'm a Gamilaroi girl from Moree, so it's nice to be with other mob today. And I know that for me this day, really, it's just one that you feel really sad, and I tend to miss home and my family a lot, think about all of our old people. What does this day mean for you?
For me, it's been, you know, I always think back to 88 and how there was so much that should have been done. You know, the celebration, you know, even the celebration this year that's going to take place for 250 years of a man that got lost sailing somewhere is not true to this country. We didn't have dates in our times. We actually had practices. And yet here we are celebrating or looking at a date, celebrating our survival, or looking at this invasion that's taken place, and other people actually look at Australia Day. And what does Australia Day mean? And if we're going to keep the date, then we need to keep all of it. So for me, I think about all of those things. I think about the people that aren't here since that 88 March, what they wanted, what those leaders said to me, and I need to continue to honour them in all that I do.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I think today there are a lot of other people thinking, what can I do? How can I show support? What ways would you suggest that people get around the First Nations people around them?
I think understanding, whether you're on, whose country you're on. Like there are these monuments that have been built, but they may have been someone's ceremonial grounds. They may have been someone's backyard. We need to respect who we are. For each and every one of us, it's always a respect from Aboriginal people, but people actually need to understand that the traumas that we have experienced haven't been dealt with. And if people want to walk for us, they need to walk with us.
All right. Thank you so much for your role in creating such a special day for us. And as we welcome the arrival of the ceremonial fire now, I'll hand you over to Luke to commence our WugulOra ceremony.
Good morning and welcome to the WugulOra morning ceremony for Australia Day 2020. My name is Luke Carroll. I'd like to welcome both the live audience and those who are here today at Barangaroo in Sydney, and of course those who have tuned into ABC TV around the nation. I'm very honoured to be your Master of Ceremonies this morning. The WugulOra ceremony is organised by the New South Wales Government and the Australia Day Council of New South Wales in partnership with the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council and Sydney Festival. The ceremonial flame was lit yesterday and tended to overnight at Meemau, also known as Goat Island, before travelling here today on the Tribal Warrior to Barangaroo Reserve. After this ceremony, ambers from the flame will travel to Yarbum Festival in Victoria Park and to Sydney Cove in Circular Quay, also known as Warran, for the rest of the Australia Day program today. Our brothers and sisters from the Kumari Dancers and the Tribal Warrior are the caretakers of the flame on Australia Day around the harbour. Thank you to the Kumari Dancers. Also, this morning's ceremony, we're very honoured to welcome Her Excellency the Honourable Margaret Beazley, the Governor of New South Wales, and Mr Dennis Wilson, the Honourable Gladys Berejiklian, Premier of New South Wales, Mr Andrew Parker, Chairman of the Australia Day Council of New South Wales, board members of the Australia Day Council of New South Wales, the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, board members of Infrastructure New South Wales, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Now to welcome us to country, I invite Yvonne Weldon, Chairperson of the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Lands Council, to give us a welcome to country. Please make her welcome.
Slightly large, too big for me. As this is a sombre day for the First Nations of this country, we must show respect and to commemorate the ancestors before we start the proceedings. If you are physically capable, could you please stand for a minute's silence?
Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning. Elders, New South Wales Governor Margaret Beazley, AO, QC, Mr Dennis Wilson, Premier, Minister Harwin, Andrew Parker, Mr Tim Reardon, sisters and brothers. I stand before you as a sovereign Wiradjuri woman. I represent my children's patriarchal side, Elder Jan Bowen, from the sovereign Bidjigal people of La Perouse. We have never ceded our rights. My name is Yvonne Weldon. I come from Cowra, here in New South Wales. My ancestral bloodlines connect all along the waters and the lands of the Clare, and also of the Murrumbidgee rivers. I am the elected chairperson of the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, who are the culture authority under the Aboriginal Land Rights Act for the land we're meeting on. I pay my homage to the people of the Eora Nation, who suffered the first impact on behalf of all Aboriginal nations. This place we're gathered on is named after a strong, unwavering and truth-telling Camaragal woman called Barangaroo. I pay my respects to Barangaroo and to all elders past and present, and to all First Nations and all nations from across the globe. On this day, 232 years ago, it was a beginning of devastation for the First Nations of this country. This change was the start of traumas never experienced before. As my people had practiced our traditions for thousands of years and endless generations. One tradition that's shared in various forms across Australia is a welcome to country. It isn't a token gesture, it is a spiritual process, giving honour of the ancestors' footsteps we are all walking in, continuing the practice of many generations before us to the many generations to come. Our boundaries are known and are lived through our continual connection across the continent, not from the roads and the man-made landmarks. The landscapes of this country tell the stories of our culture, our history and our boundaries. The Eora Nation's boundaries are the Hawkes River in the north, the Nepean in the west and the Georges River in the south. On behalf of the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, the elders and the members, I welcome everyone to the land of the Gadigal. I acknowledge the Gadigal people whose spirits and ancestors will always remain with this land, our Mother Earth. As you travel across this beautiful continent of ours, understand you're entering the lands of a nation, a tribe and a clan that have existed here for over 60,000 years. We are the oldest living culture of the world. Our stories aren't myths, they are this land's history. So let us all acknowledge and remember the many sacrifices of my people, the sacrifices then and the ones now. What has taken place must be owned. The cruelty and brutal treatment to my people needs to be acknowledged, not out of a guilt, but to listen, learn, share, and to come together. If it isn't done, we will never truly mend our past to create an all-embracing future, standing strong in unity, working together as one community and achieving as one community. We have hundreds of nations from this continent and across the globe, whether you come here via foot, air or water. Aboriginal people are inclusive of everyone, yet my people aren't always treated that same way. We must commit to making a positive difference, producing a legacy of a complete and honest history. This will start the steps to a future of healing. To make that future possible, let us all draw upon my people's spirits as we continue on our journey. May my people's spirits walk with you and guide you as we strive forward for us all. Whether you call this Invasion Day, Survival Day or Australia Day, know that this country didn't begin 230 years ago. It was here, we were here, before time began. Again, on behalf of the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, welcome to Gadigal land. This always was, always will be, Aboriginal land. Thank you.
Mandangul, thank you. Thank you. So I'd like to start off by acknowledging the land in which we stand, the Gadigal country. I'd also like to extend that and acknowledgement and pay my respects to the Gadigal elders and also the Gadigal people, the elders of the future, the elders of the present and the emerging elders, and the elders of the past. So we are Kumari, we are the Sunrise people. We stretch from Queensland all the way down the New South Wales coast. We all come from all different nations all across this beautiful country. And it's very honouring to be able to stand here today, be invited up here on this beautiful country and give our blessing. Billadulabang, the river spirit, will be with you as he has followed us from our home. In 1938, since 1938, this has been a day of mourning for our people. There's been a lot of trauma that has plagued our people, our communities, our families. And to be able to come together today and see so many people here together, sharing that feeling that our old people had before colonisation, that interconnectedness, knowing that we're all here together, we're all one. We all need the same three things: water, food, and love. And that's what today is about, coming together and sharing that feeling that our old people were given to us, and we all have it in us to give to each other. So once again, Mandangul, and I'd also like to say, always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
Now, a smoking ceremony is an ancient Aboriginal custom in Australia. It involves burning various native plants to produce smoke. That has cleansing properties and the ability to ward off bad spirits from the people and the land, and of course to make a pathway for a brighter future. And certain traditional smoking ceremonies are also believed to have been used for positive therapeutic outcomes, of course depending on what plants are available from region to region. And know that when you see a smoking ceremony happening, it is a gift from the Aboriginal people to all of Australia. And Yarangiri Galari is a man of the Wiradjuri nation. He belongs to the Billadoolabung people, which translates to river spirit. So they are from the Wiradjuri nation, which is south of the Blue Mountains. And on the dancers, you'll see body paint. Body paint of Aboriginal people is a natural ochre, soft rock or soil, and is collected by people across Australia from various places. The red ochre represents our connection to Mother Earth and also pays respect to all native animals in our totem system. Now, each region has its own totems that are connected to individuals and families.
Please put your hands together for the Kumari dancers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Her Excellency, the Honourable Margaret Beazley, Governor of New South Wales.
Premier, Minister Harwin, Penny Sharp, representing the Leader of the Opposition, Jodie Mackay, Lord Mayor, Chair of the Australia Day Council of New South Wales and board members, City of Sydney councillors, elders and representatives of the Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council and the La Perouse Aboriginal Land Council, and all land councils here today, wonderful performers, presenters, ladies and gentlemen, I'm extraordinarily honoured to be here this morning. Yvonne, thank you for your welcome to country. Performers and those who presented to us the smoking and cleansing ceremony this morning, thank you. I continue to be humbled by the generosity of spirit demonstrated each time such kindness is extended as we gather on Aboriginal land, proclaimed here today by the 250 Aboriginal flags which surround us. I too acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and to all Aboriginal people here today. The WugulOra ceremony, as the opening ceremonial event of Australia Day, following on from the vigil held here last night, commemorates for us the story of connection to this land. Indigenous culture and connection to country is the foundational story of this continent and its islands. As the theme of NAIDOC 2015 reminded us, we all stand on sacred ground. You and I, we work, we shop, we walk, we go to school, we sleep in the land of the oldest living culture in the world, 65,000 years at least of continuous Indigenous culture. And if we give ourselves time to feel the land under our feet, you will understand what it is that we have been told here this morning. And what a wonder it is to listen and to learn And when we do, what do we hear? We hear the story of custodianship of and care for the land. Last year, I came across a beautiful piece of Aboriginal culture. As I read it, it came from Northern Australia, and in that language it's called Dadiri, but as I also understand it, it is a practice which is found throughout the land. The words themselves are a form of meditation, and it goes like this. Dadiri is deep listening. It's listening to the land, listening to the spirit speaking through the land, listening to the stillness in the water, the wind blowing, the birds singing, the ground humming. And when we do listen to the land, we learn how to care for the community who walk on the land. Intrinsic to that is care for the community who walk on the land. Sadly, overshadowing everything at the moment, particularly on the eastern seaboard, is the catastrophic impact of the bushfires on the land and those who do walk on the land. Lorena Allam's words helped me to get a sense of this. A few days after watching the fires, a few days after New Year's Eve, as she watched the fires approach Jervis Bay, she wrote, "Like you, I've watched in anguish and horror as fire lays waste to precious Yuin land, taking everything with it, lives, homes, animals, trees. But for First Nations people, it is also burning up our memories, our sacred places, all the things which make us who we are. It's a particular grief," she continued, "to lose forever what connects you to a place in the landscape. Our ancestors felt it, our elders felt it, and now we are feeling it all over again." Gathering here this morning has given me pause to reflect on the theme of this Australia Day 2020. Everyone, every story. In this beautiful location, named after that wonderful feisty Camaragal woman, Barangaroo, the 250 Indigenous flags tell us the first story. And in the past few months, as Dennis and I have moved around the state, it is apparent that everyone has a story and that all of our stories are connected. The drought and the bushfires have brought this home. They've brought it home in so many different ways. In the time given by volunteers, in the generosity of individuals and corporations, in kind and in money, in the way the Yuin and other communities have reached out to the entire community, notwithstanding their own devastation, in the way that the whole community has worked together. Everyone, every story is all of us and all of our stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause again for our Governor, Margaret Beasley, New South Wales Governor. Thank you very much. Now I would like to welcome the Budja Budja butterfly dancers to the Sand Circle to perform Yindi Mara, respect for Mother Earth in the form of earth, air, fire and water spirits, choreographed by the amazing Wiradjuri woman, Rayma Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Rayma, the Budja Budja Butterfly Dancers, and Cool Murray. Thank you very much for that beautiful performance. I'd like to now welcome to the lectern the Honourable Gladys Berejiklian, Premier of New South Wales.
Good morning, everybody. Your Excellency, the New South Wales Governor and Mr Wilson, Minister Don Harwin, the Honourable Penny Sharp, Mr Andrew Parker, and of course, representatives of all the Aboriginal land councils here today. Can I start by thanking Yvonne for the wonderful welcome and moving tribute. And I also want to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we stand and pay our respect to elders past, present and future. There is no better place and no better way to start off Australia Day than here at the WugulOra ceremony. We come together to recognise the tens of thousands of years of human history of our continent and our nation, and the long connection of our First Nations people with this land. This morning, whilst we celebrate all that is great about Australia, we also acknowledge the impact the arrival of Europeans to this land had on our Indigenous communities. It is by remembering and acknowledging that we can continue the healing process and move forward together. It is significant that we hold this ceremony at this ancient meeting place, Barangaroo. The naming of this place in 2006 forever unites Barangaroo and her husband Bennelong on these twin peninsulas of Sydney Harbour. They left different but lasting legacies. Barangaroo is a proud fisherwoman intent on preserving Aboriginal traditions, and Bennelong is a bridge between two cultures. We borrow from each approach today as we look for ways to harness the deep Aboriginal understanding of this land. Australia Day this year comes during a difficult time for New South Wales as we come to terms with the impact of the catastrophic fires and consider and reflect on the lives lost and also the impact on our wildlife and land. These devastating bushfires encourage us as a community to reflect on Aboriginal practices that sustain this land for millennia. It is also appropriate that there is a renewed public discussion about how this ancient knowledge of Aboriginal culture can be utilised to better protect our environment and our communities. Here in New South Wales, the Rural Fire Service's first all-Indigenous firefighting crews have been established in Bourke and Brewarrina. Handpicked by their elders, they are protecting sacred sites, reducing bushfire hazards, caring for country and fighting remote fires. This sharing of knowledge and expertise enriches our society and benefits all of us. On Australia Day 2020, we take this opportunity to recognise the contribution of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and their custodianship of this land. We commit ourselves to work together for the benefit of our nation. Thank you again to all the Aboriginal Land Council representatives for giving us the privilege of sharing in the WugulOra ceremony this morning. It is indeed an honour. Thank you.
Once again, thank the Premier, Ms Gladys Berejiklian. Thank you very much. And now we have a very special performance indeed for you all. A performance of Spirit by Isaiah Firebrace. Isaiah is a proud Choreographing man and has just finished a national tour with his band, including 50 shows and workshops with communities across Australia. He worked with people in outback Australia and sang Spirit with communities challenged by hardship. Spirit is a stunning ballad reflecting the heartbreak we all experience when your mind loses touch from your spiritual side and the joy you feel when you rediscover that connection. Isaiah will be supported by the Kari Singers. You will find the lyrics in your program. Please welcome Isaiah Firebrace and the Kari Singers.
lights are turned down low, and I'm sitting here alone, thinking how'd I get so far from home? Oh, I guess nobody knows. And so the saying goes, you win some, you lose some, still trying to control. Oh, since I've been away from you, I've been searching for a light I could not find, and living for a love out of my mind. I've been hanging on a prayer that I wake and see you there. Oh, Spirit, I haven't seen you in a little while. I got lost and you got set aside. I heard you've been calling, been busy falling. Spirit, I've been meaning to apologize. I've been running and I'm getting tired. I've been so foolish, got no place left to hide. I lay my head down on your shoulder. I hear you singing, it's not over. Oh, you came to me all dressed in gold. You're the one I've always known. In your love I found my home. When I wake I feel you there. You take away all of my cares. I haven't seen you in a little while. I got lost and you got set aside. I heard you've been calling, been busy falling. Spirit, I've been meaning to apologize. I've been running and I'm getting tired. I've been so foolish, got no place left to hide. I lay my head down on your shoulder. I hear you singing, it's not over. You come to me in the night and dance around me like a satellite. You sing to me and I feel so high. You called to me when I cried. I was running and you hit me like a blinded light. All I need is you by my side. Breathe, breathe that. Feel that. Feel that. Oh, breathe that. Feel that. Feel that. Spirit.
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Isaiah and the Kari Singers. And thank you, Isaiah, for sharing your beautiful song with us here today. The Kari Singers are a very talented group of Indigenous vocalists who pride themselves on sharing culture and captivating audiences with their unique sound and performance style, offering Indigenous songs as well as modern pieces and cultural flair. Ladies and gentlemen, we now invite those of you who can to stand as we sing the national anthem whilst the Australian and Aboriginal flags are raised on top of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. The anthem will first be sung in Eora, then in English. Eora is also referred to as the Sydney language. It is the original language of the land we stand on today, and was resurrected from the diaries of Lieutenant William Dawes, who recorded conversations with Paddy Garang. Paddy Garang was a young woman from the Gadigal people in 1788. We invite you to look in your program and sing these words to amplify them and keep the language alive. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for our national anthem.
Australia gal gara pranya ilia boy irabana Australia gal Australians, oh let us rejoice. Australia fair in joyful strains, and let us sing advance Australia fair.
What a beautiful rendition of our anthem, and what an amazing morning it's been here, Carla.
Yeah, it's so great to see the Aboriginal flag up there alongside the Australian flag on the Sydney Harbour Bridge for the world to see.
Well, that's it from all of us here at Barangaroo. We'll go now to the ABC newsroom and then stay with us for the national flag raising and citizenship ceremony live from Canberra.
Now, this year's Australia Day Honours List is a roll call of dedicated Australians who have all excelled in their fields. Some are household names, others are ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
They've reached the greatest heights, demonstrating commitment and achievement across the industries. Among the 2020 Honours List, a strong representation from the arts. Playwright and Sydney Festival Artistic Director Wesley Enoch appointed a member of the Order of Australia.
There's this idea that the country has said, actually, we think what you've done is significant.
A sentiment echoed by actress Rachel Griffiths, AM.
I think back to the highlights of my career that people pull out for me, which is, dancing to ABBA. If that's, 5 minutes of joy, I think it can mean a lot.
And Joe